Hi, and welcome to Confessions from the Home Office. I'm Wendi Hill, and each week I have an episode about my marketing business, working from home, or another business that I want to share with you. And this week we kind of have a kind of an off the wall topic of how things work when you're an entrepreneur and you're married to somebody who's not an entrepreneur. And my husband, Reggie, who's here, welcome, Reggie.
Thank you.
Was nice enough to agree to be on the podcast. He's upstairs in his office, and I'm downstairs in my office. And Reggie does not have any questions to prep for this. So we've been married, a little over 5 months now?
Yep. About, over 5 months, 5.5.
Yeah. And so he's been in school for like the last 10 years. So I figured that he could go through one more test. So, yeah, so kind. So, I want you to tell us about yourself. Like, our friends know your story and everything, but I think you have a neat story on how you got to where you are now.
Well, it's when I tell the story, it seems like a most just average everyday thing, but when you look back, it's kind of crazy. Grew up in a really small town. Lived there through early teens, and then moved to Taylor's, which is where I ended up going to high school. About 13, 14 years old, somewhere around there. Went through Riverside High School, where you went. After that, well, where most people went to college and went into the family business, I went on the road with a band for 10 plus years, somewhere around there. It was a long time, but a lot of fun. Eventually, the music started drying up, and personnel changes in the band, things like that. I ended up getting a job, a little part-time weekend job at an optical company. And slowly, as the music began to slow down, the optical industry began picking up. And it was just kind of a transition from one to the other. I ended up staying in that career for about 25 years, 25 years, something like that. Very long time. I eventually kind of burned myself out doing it. I loved doing it, but it was just a lot for a long time. And there was always had a passion to teach. It was there pretty much my entire life, and it came down to trying to figure out if I was going to continue the path I was on, or if it was time for a new path. And had a couple little health issues, and that was kind of the deciding factor. I decided to leave the optical after 20 plus years and go headfirst into school. And when I say head first, I really mean head first. I was able to get all 4 degrees, associate, bachelor's, master's, and doctorate in about 10 years. So with no breaks, no times off, no semesters off, it just it became a one continuous project. And once I got the doctorate, I've been able to get a job as a professor, currently adjunct history professor, and looking forward to moving up actually this coming spring. So
That's so awesome.
Yeah, it's been a lot.
Well, and the funny thing is when I met you, you were, even though we went to high school together, we didn't we didn't talk. We didn't have any classes, anything like that. But what did you say?
Your fault.
We'll talk about that later. You were finishing up your master's. And so I would hear from you like late at night, and then you were like sleeping in the next day, and then you would start your research again because you were working on your thesis. And then you told me you were going to get your doctorate. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? And then as we started dating, and I never knew Reggie was in school. Like, if he hadn't told me, I wouldn't have known. he wrote papers on his phone. He would work late at night. I don't stay up late at night. And even like with our family, he never missed a beat. If the kids wanted to go somewhere or do something, he said yes. And he was just cramming it in like one day at a time. I thought that was pretty cool because when I finished graduate school many, many years ago, I never wanted to look at a book or write a paper again.
No, I mean, well, your kids are fantastic, and I don't have any, so it was a welcome blessing to be able to finally do things like that. So I definitely wasn't going to miss out on one opportunity for any of that. And I'm low key on a lot of things. I don't, like I said, I
No
got
kidding.
my bachelor's degree with a legal pad and a pen, just where everybody else was in class with their laptops and recording devices and everything else. It was just, I was staring straight ahead with a pen and a piece of paper, just taking it in that way. So when it comes to, writing papers and everything, I have Word on my phone, and it's just
Yeah.
as easy. So, and plus it just takes up less space, and I don't have to lug a laptop everywhere I go.
So like my office is full of notebooks and paper, like what you can't see on the camera. It is like staples blew up. And Reggie's desk is like perfectly clean upstairs. He might have like some Clemson paraphernalia. I don't know what else you've got up there right now. I haven't looked at it in a little bit. Um, so you so you've been teaching for a little while. Was it everything you thought it was going to be?
Yes, it is truly the best job I've ever had. Uh, there is not one day that I don't get excited about going to work. You have your occasional student that may give you a little bit of trouble that one day, but from my classes are typically everybody's on time, everybody behaves, and it's so much fun. I truly get excited to go every day. There hasn't been one bad day yet.
So no downsides to it at all.
Uh, the teaching part, no. There's a few
Okay.
things, you know, behind the scenes I would like to, fix, but that's with any company. I would like, pay to be a little different and um, the approach, how we get from adjunct to full time, little things like that. It would be better if somebody knew about that ahead of time, walking into it, and what all you're to expect. But the actual teaching, no, I wouldn't change it for a world.
Well, and it's neat because you think about when someone has a full time job outside of the home, usually they walk in and they're complaining about somebody or something that really blew up, or it's kind of the same thing over and over. And you just walk in like with hardly any voice left because you've talked all day, you know? And so, of course, I'm ready to talk, talk, talk when you come in, and I'm sure you're just like, oh gosh, you know? Um, but no, I mean, you don't complain at all, and it's good. Is there anything else you want to do beyond teaching with your doctorate?
I would love to write probably two books right now. I have my eye on two different subjects. I really don't. The hardest part is knowing the exact approach to take, and that's where I'm leaning right now, which approach to take and which subject to do first. But I would really like to do write a few books. One about an area and one about a person.
Okay, I guess you don't want to give away any more than that right now, do you?
Well,
You don't have to.
no, it's fine. John Brown. If anybody, any history buffs out there knows about John Brown and Kansas and Harper's Ferry, and that is one of the most interesting characters I have ever come across in my life. That is, he embraces every quality in a person: good, bad, evil, sad, loving, caring, humor, intelligence, and he does a lot of bad things for all the right reasons. And such a fascinating story. Um, and also, I would love to write about an area that my family once owned years and years ago, and that's the Smokemont area, just above Cherokee. There's a lot about that history of that area, things that my great grandparents did, and how the land was dealt with, and all the governmental things that happened to the land. And it'd be a very interesting story for people to read.
So I know when it's that time of the semester when you start teaching about John Brown because you come home and talk about it more. But that's usually the part of the semester where you're running out of time before you're having to do final prep.
Yeah.
So I always wonder, like, can you back it up a little bit? Because it's always like right before Thanksgiving or kind of right after Easter, when Easter's in April, that type of thing. So I know that really, you really like that.
Yeah, it's in the particular book I use, it's a few paragraphs, but I purposely um, go a little longer on my lectures about him. There's even a particular video that I love to show about him, so he gets a very good amount of time. Uh, and even people after the class, they always come to me because they had never heard of John Brown either. It's definitely a North versus South issue, whether you've heard of him or not.
Right.
But they're fascinated in learning about him, a little bit more about him too. So I've actually had a few after class discussions about him.
That's really cool. Um, So we're going to switch gears just a little bit if you're ready.
Right.
So, what's it like being married to someone who doesn't have the traditional 9 to 5?
It is. It is different. It's not different in a good versus bad way. It's very different. My day is pretty much set. I know what my schedules are. I know what my subjects will be. I know who's going to be there when I get there. I know what time I'm going to leave. And with the occasional have to work over maybe an extra day on my day off to prepare for something coming up, like writing test or something. I'm pretty routine with that. My job is not a 24/7 thing, and yours 1,000% is. I've, I mean, you can tell 1,000 more stories than I could, and I can tell 1,000 stories just in the short time that I've watched you work. There's really no off time. It's which is good, but it also it's really hard sometimes to schedule like a day off because there's always some possible emergency with a client that they really need something. It's not that they're just calling to talk or just calling to shoot the breeze. They have a issue, which sometimes they think it's 5 minutes, but by the time you handle the situation and contact whoever it is that you need to contact, it may be a 2 or 3 hour fix. And a lot of that happens more time than not usually. So
Well, and I see both sides to that. And I've been in that mode for so long. Part of me is like, well, that's just how it is. And then the other part of me is like, well, I'm grateful that they keep sending work my way,
right.
because I could be sitting around going, where's the money coming in next month? But I do think now that the kids are out of the house and it's just you and me going forward, I probably need to work on a little bit more of a stop time here and there. Or I've been able to tell some clients like I'm not working the next 3 days, and so we'll just see.
Yeah, and plus I've noticed that you had a few clients in the past that felt that they should be the only client, and they would call constantly. And I think you've over time kind of put them in their place, or just kind of
Well, I don't think I'm ever rude, but yeah, I mean, I've had to be kind of like, hey,
yeah,
if you want full time service, you got to pay full time money. So
right.
I think everybody feels that way. I don't think that's just
That's
me.
that's
So.
always what makes them run first.
What'd you say?
That usually makes them run
Oh
first.
yeah, like I don't have the but. What's the marketing budget? I don't know what my marketing budget is. Yeah. So, what was it like moving into a house with two teens? Like Austin was getting ready to go off to college, and then Perry, now she's off at college too, and house full of dogs. And you've always had this like really quiet life. Like, I think you said to me before, you could go a day when you were in school and not talk to anybody because you were writing and researching and doing all that. And
Yeah,
you move in here, and it is not like that in this house.
yeah, it's definitely different, and that is true. I've noticed I would sometimes be at home for an entire weekend by myself, and realized on Sunday that I had not spoken one word. Uh, I had all my food in the house, and the dogs pretty much kept to themselves, and so I 48 hours without speaking a word, and that was a very common thing. So, uh,
Well, I feel like writing your thesis was nuts. I mean, your dissertation was crazy because all the steps and everything, but your thesis was just crazy. You were heads down.
yeah, well, that's part of my upbringing. My dad was a quiet person, um, and plus I'm an only child, as you are. But the biggest difference is that my dad worked third shift, so even when he was home during the day, he was asleep, which means I had to be quiet. Even when I was playing. So even playing as a child was playing quiet. Usually it was either outside by myself or, listening to music with headphones on, just doing something just to keep, so I wouldn't wake him up during the day. So, and
Well, and
that's, you do that for all your childhood, it becomes normal just to be quiet. So moving here was great. It was really great. It was great to have somebody to talk to at all times, and uh, if I needed something, there was always somebody here. I could just run something by or bounce something off of. And the kids, they have been absolutely great. They have been just as big a blessing to me as they were to you.
and you kind of caught them you didn't catch them like as they were starting their teen years, but you caught them like during driving and girlfriend, boyfriends, and graduating and all that. And that's a hard phase too. They're wanting to be adults and they're turning into adults, but they still need help, but they don't want it. Um, so you've kind of seen that whole path, but you're right. It's been good. You were kind of like the piece of the puzzle that we hadn't had, and so I think that was great. But I always laugh about Reggie. Like Reggie's almost like a ninja. He could get up and get ready and leave the house, and if I were sound asleep, I would never know it. And if I'm up, everybody knows it. I just can't help it. Like I will knock something over. I am loud. I will forget he's asleep and turn a podcast on and blare it in the shower. I mean, it's just I don't know. I'd say I feel like we're opposites, but we're kind of the same with certain things too. I mean, what do you think?
Um, yeah, that was true. Both sides of that was all true. I think we're I think we're very much alike. We have a dog problem. Would be a good way to say that.
Don't say
We
problem. It's not a problem. It was an opportunity.
That's we have a dog, multiple dog opportunities, and um, we love to laugh, and we both have a very, I wouldn't say dark, but it's a very unique sense of humor. A lot of the
It's close
things
to
that
dark. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the things that you say that make me laugh are things that probably shouldn't be said to anyone else. And same here. We just and one thing I love about you so much is how fast your humor is. That's one of the greatest things. Waiting for a comeback is one thing, but when if I say something funny and you immediately come back with something funnier, that's just the greatest thing in the world.
Well, just enjoy it while it lasts. One day that brain's just going to go, psst, and it's going to be the end of it.
Uh, as for differences, I kind of like more of a. I guess this is everything else. I like the routine things. I like being able to come home and um, cook dinner, I love that part. That's one of the greatest things. I don't. Again, going back to my dad and my mom, that cooking was always something fun to do. It was never, well, it's time to make dinner. It was, that was the fun part.
Right.
I sat on the counter when I was little beside my dad making practically every meal. So I learned how he did it from an early age until I was finally tall enough to, use the stove myself. And so it's always, to me, cooking food is not a chore. It's kind of a gift. I enjoy
You- Yeah.
serving people, and I enjoy the look on their face when they like something that I make.
Well, and that's true because I always say by 5:30 during the day, the last thing I want to think about is what I've got to make for dinner.
Right.
The kitchen's just a place to like store food and dishes, and you know, I had a few things I made when the kids were growing up, and then when they could cook, they were doing a lot of the cooking too, just because they knew by the end of the day, I've made, I don't know, 400 decisions, 500 decisions about things, and that's the last thing I want to do. So I do appreciate that you
Yeah,
that
and
you
I've
cook.
made two decisions. You know,
Ah, you made more than that, but it's just different. It's just
yeah, but
different
I
how
mean,
we do
my
things.
day is set up for, I know the class, I know the subject. It's more talking and uh, answering questions and discussions and things like that. I'm not having to make life and death or financial decisions all day long. So my brain's still going pretty good when I get home.
Well, and it's like I get up early and I take care of the dogs in the morning and do all that. And Reggie's the type that he will sleep until his feet have to hit the ground to get ready to go teach. He's that way. But then at night, if I sit down, I'm out. I mean, I will fall asleep mid sentence talking to him, and he takes care of the dogs at night and does all the last minute stuff. So it's like I open up the house at the beginning of the day, and he shuts it down at the end of the day. And
Right.
I'm sure that drives you nuts sometimes that I fall
No,
asleep.
I mean it works. It absolutely works. We have that. That's one thing we are definitely different. It doesn't matter if we're working or not working or whatever. You're still 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock awake, and I always say I look at it. Whatever time I need to be leaving the house, I back up 20 minutes for my shower, and that's when I wake up.
Absolutely. I've never seen anything like it, but it works for you.
It works for me. Always has. So
Right.
yeah,
I'm up like pacing the house, stressing out, making lists, doing all that stuff. And Reggie's blood pressure is like super low. He's asleep. He's good.
I'm good.
So, do you ever see us working together on anything? Or you think that the way things are or how things will be?
I'd love to work with you on something. I think we'd have to have the proper project. It would have to
Right.
be something we both are interested in, um, something we both had some kind of passion about. It would, if it was only me or only you that cared about it, it would be hard to pull the other one across the finish line. But I think it would be great because I think the way we work each other is we we would kind of balance each other out. It wouldn't be all stress and worry, but it wouldn't be all passive. Wait and see what's going to happen either. You would push me to get things done, and then I would kind of be the
Voice of reason.
calming, yeah, voice of reason. That's a good one. Yeah, voice
Yeah.
of reason. So I think it would be great to have a project like that.
Well, and I think, you're like all into music and food and cooking and wrestling and history and politics. And, some of that, the politics has rubbed off on me. And I'm not really any of those other things at all. But I do think,
I'm gonna keep working on the wrestling.
I don't know. We'll see. That is a great way to fall asleep when that comes on TV. I know. Um, but I do think we've started cleaning up my grandparents' property and feeding animals over there every weekend. And that is one thing that we've taken on. That's not like a business or anything, at least for now. But we've enjoyed doing that, getting out and doing something. I've never been an outdoors person. You've always been out in the woods doing things, and I love it. I look forward to it every weekend. It calms my soul, getting out there, getting dirty, and
I
just
love you
doing
too.
something that's not in front of a computer, you know?
Yeah, that's great. It's the sweeping them up on the floor is a chore, but you really there's not a lot of satisfaction when you're done. But getting out in the woods and taking care of some limbs and trees and making sure the deer are taken care of and the animals that's actually harder work, but you have a sense of accomplishment and like you said, it just calms your soul. You try not to have a lot of work thoughts when you're there. There's so much beauty and sounds and everything else. It's hard to not just want to be there all the time.
Well, I feel like when we go, it's something new every time that we find. You know, something either it's something new we need to clean up, or something we didn't notice before, or a path or a trail that we didn't see before. You know, the deer are hanging out looking for us a little more when we show up now. My goals for them to like follow the car
Yeah, jump
and
in the
come
back
up.
seat.
That may
Yeah,
never happen, but no, I think it's been good. We may work on something else together at some point, but no, I appreciate that we're so different, and I think if we were just alike, we'd hurt each other.
yeah, we don't need two high strung people, but we don't need two.
High strung.
Yeah, high
Okay.
strung, and we don't need two um, stoic corpses in the background either. We just you know, I love the fact that you always have something to say. I always, have something going on, something funny, some kind of story. Uh, I love it. It keeps my day laughing all day long. Um,
Well, I feel bad because I always walk in the den. I'm always like, I have an idea. So I've gotten where I don't even tell you all the ideas because I'm sure you're just like, here we go down another rabbit hole. Here's something else, you know? So who knows?
who knows?
Who knows?
I love the ideas. I mean, it just lets you know that you're still thinking about tomorrow. That was always a very big deal for me. When you get into a routine, it's kind of you really end up thinking about today.
Hmm.
You know, yesterday was okay, and today is today, and then tomorrow is going to be another today. But the biggest blessing, other than the kids and everything, the biggest blessing that I've gotten because of you is the ability to think about tomorrow and to be happy about tomorrow and to be excited about what's up ahead versus same old, same old.
Right. That's
So,
sweet.
uh,
Oh, there's always something going on. And if we don't have anything going on, I'll make it up. We'll just go. Yeah.
no truer words.
All right. Well, I think that's about it. Do you have anything else you want to say? You have any questions for me, or are you going to give me a pass?
Um, no real question. It's just always fascinating how I noticed you all through high school for years and years, yet you never knew that I even existed. But
Well, I think after you looked at my latest glasses prescription last weekend, you realize how bad my astigmatism is. And if I refused to wear my glasses in high school, I didn't see much of anything. So,
yeah, I'm about 6'6", so
you never came over and talked to me. I was kind of shy. We will keep having this discussion until one of us is gone. But
but
all you had to do was come over and say hello.
yeah, I don't know if you'd have saw me if I did.
All right. Well, we'll wrap it up. That's it for this week on Confessions from the Home Office. Those glasses are strong. I got to take them off. Um, and I'll be back next week with another episode. Thanks.
Thank you.